Last time we got the free-to-play quest cape by defeating Alvard. Look at us. So strong, so powerful, so lithe and supple. But we're not finished with the quest grind. We won't be until we get ourselves an actual quest cape, but that's a stretch goal for now. It's in the future. Today, I want to get working on my favorite low-level quest series. It's one that holds a very nostalgic place in my heart. First, Druidic Ritual. It's a prerequisite for not only training the herblore skill, but for the quest recruitment drive. In RS3, this quest is different. What a shock, right? I guess Jagex thought dunking a bunch of raw meat in a mysterious dungeon cauldron didn't really scream, this is how you herblore. So in RS3, you help the druids make an actual potion. It's a bit more thematically appropriate, to be honest. I handed over the meat and helped the druids perform their sacrifice or whatever. I don't know what druids do. I assume they sacrifice people because they're different and strange and propaganda is effective. Oh, those spooky pagans with their feasts and orgies. Recruitment drive required us to be a lady since you always have to fight Sir Lee and he can be defeated by no man. Something I have to give RuneScape credit for, bald option for female character models. It's odd how so many games for the longest time didn't provide you with that option, but RuneScape had it since, what, 2001? What's odd is I never remembered this quest having an assortment of weapons for us to use during the fight. I always assumed you had to fist fight him. Evidently not, but you gotta make sure you use the Warhammer. If you kill him with any other weapon, you fail the challenge and you have to do it all over again. I, of course, didn't make such a mistake. I'm not a fool. Gotta love agility XP. And since I used that lamp from X marks the spot on agility as well, this quest sent us to level 10, meaning we can use the Draenor rooftop course, completely avoiding the gnome course. After the quest, I turned back into a guy and my shirt got changed. I also lost my beard. I need to visit the hairdresser to get it back, but it totally slipped my mind even though I was right there in Falador. Could have easily gotten it back. Spoilers, as of writing this, I still haven't gotten it back. And now I'm kind of used to the beardless look, so that's what we're sticking with. Before I moved on with the next quests, I wanted to get some agility levels, so I ran across Draenor's roofs for a couple dozen laps until I got 20 agility. I also netted myself 5 marks of grace. For the non-OSRS players in the audience, you can trade the marks for pieces of the graceful outfit, which not only reduces your weight significantly, but also improves your run energy regeneration rate. The last time I played, you needed the whole set for the run energy effect, but I guess they've changed it since then, and now each piece gives a small bit of the effect, with the whole outfit giving an extra set bonus on top of the individual pieces. That's a good change, I'd say. Makes the grind for graceful not an all or nothing sort of a thing. Every piece feels like an upgrade, at least I assume so. I don't have any pieces yet. I did another beginner clue. I think I got it from a bird's nest or something, and it contained a Guthix ornament kit for a rune scimitar. Neat little thing. Not worth much, but when I get a rune scimitar, I can advertise my allegiance to the god of balance, who in RS3 hated the fact that he was worshipped and would prefer everyone forget about him. But Fashionscape. Sorry, Guthix. Next, I started Priest in Peril. We all know the story. King Rold sends us to Paterdomus. We're tricked into killing the dog in the basement. The king gets mad at us. Then we kill some Zamorakian monks, throw holy water on a vampire's coffin, and finally gain access to Mauritania. I may have left out some steps, but that's the gist. I'm really looking forward to the vampire quest, since everything after Darkness of Hollowvale is uniquely old school. RS3 has a legacy of Seergaze, the branches of Darkmire, the Lord of Vampirium, and River of Blood. At a glance, it looks like old school's next 2 quests in the Myrek storyline have a bit of overlap with RS3's quests, but there are certainly plenty of differences I'm not aware of. I mean, there's gotta be, right? There's a Blisterwood Flail, I think, that we don't got that in RS3, so totally different. I'm really excited to get there. It's gonna be fun. Having foiled the plot of some Zamorakians, I thought it time to balance out my karma and help a Zamorakian mage gain access to an endless supply of runes. I mean, it can't be that big of a deal, right? What precedent is there for a Zamorakian mage abusing the awesome power they wield? Those guys at Paterdomus, they were monks. They weren't mages. It's totally different. So this is usually the case, and it's something all you new viewers are going to have to get used to, and it's the fact that I am a frenetic escaper. I started with a specific quest in mind, but partway through the questing, I realized how frustrating it was not to have easy access to the western half of RuneScape. Kandarin was a pain in the ass to get to, having to rely solely on the minigame's teleport to Castle Wars. A handy thing, sure, but it's got a 20-minute cooldown, so it's not on demand. I also realized how different the Easy Arty Diary is in old school compared to RS3. RS3 has more tasks, more than twice as many, and because of lodestones, the teleport to the monastery isn't super useful. Unless you specifically need to get to the monastery, then it's great. But here in old school, completing this diary would be an absolute no-brainer. First, I needed a rusted sword. You can get them by pickpocketing ham members or by killing the guards. It's not super common, but it's also not that rare. I got it on my first kill. Barter with the silk merchant, look at Leon's shop in Yanil, go out to sea on the fishing trawler, maybe I'd get lucky and spoon a piece of the angler outfit? Nope. This Kraken thing is new though, that's weird. Since I needed some thieving levels to finish up the easy diary, I decided to do the Hazel cult quest since it gives 1500 thieving XP and it's pretty quick. I also grabbed some of that purple dye that spawns near the clock tower because I'm pretty sure I'll need it somewhere down the line. You know, know, in RS3, this path isn't blocked. You can walk around the northern side of the clock tower between the building and the river, and it's really annoying because I keep forgetting that, so I walk towards the northern part of the clock tower to get around it, and then I realize, oh, I have to go the other way, so then I have to walk all the way around it, and by that time I run out of all my run energy because it takes like 30 run energy to run like 5 steps. Oh well. Holy shit. Azil looks awesome now. He's not that anemic little dork with the tiny little spikes sticking out of his head. Oh, the wiki says he was updated this year in preparation for Desert Treasure 2, I assume? Oh wait, no, it's for Secrets of the North. Another quest I'm really excited to check out. I didn't even know it was a quest. The Majorat questline is huge in RS3, so I'm curious what the old school devs are going to do with it. I also started the Elf questline, beginning with Plague City and also finishing Biohazard so we gain access to the King's training grounds. Entering those grounds is a diary task, and it's our last task in the easy set, so I went to 2 pints and collected my cape and a couple more. I didn't realize it until I got the cape, but it also has decent stats considering how early you can get it. But I mostly wanted it for the monastery teleport. That teleport will be incredibly useful for accessing the Spirit Tree to the northwest and the Fairy Ring to the east once we're able to use them. Those will probably be my main tree and ring for quite a while. At least until I get a quest cape and I can use the one near the Legends Guild, or I could build one in my house, but that's going to be a long way away. I also decided to hold on to the XP lamp for a bit. You need level 30 in whatever skill you want to use it on, and I wanted to save it for agility. Alright, back to our main grind. The Lost Tribe. While doing this quest, I noticed on the wiki that the Land of the Goblins is part of the Dorgeshin series. I was certain Another Slice of Ham was the last quest in the Goblin questline, in old school at least. But imagine my surprise when I realized Land of the Goblins was added just last year. I really hope this means they'll carry the questline forward with their own old school twist on it. Fingers crossed. The Goblin questline is a pretty good one. There was one more thing I had to do before getting to my favorite quest, and that was buying an enchanted gem. I could have just gone to Berthorpe or Edgeville and bought one from Turiel or Vanaka, but transportation is such a pain in the ass right now, and I was in Lumbridge after finishing the Lost Tribe, close to Draenor, so I just went ahead and started Porcine of Interest since I knew it unlocked a low-level Slayer Master in Draenor. It probably took more time to do than just walking to Edgeville and back to Falador, but it felt faster, and that's all that matters. I kind of like these goggles. 9 Slayer from a short quest, not bad. It's always good to skip those tedious early levels in skills like Slayer. You know, Slayer, Hunter, Herblore, Farming, you're pretty limited in your training methods until a bit later in the skill. And we'll get around to doing that museum quiz eventually for Hunter XP, don't worry about it right now. With all the preamble out of the way and all the prerequisites done, I finally went to certification and started Wanted. I don't know what it is about this quest, but it holds a special place in my heart. There's something about the adventure it sends you on that feels very traditionally RPG-y. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel like a fetch quest, even though it's just go here, do thing, go there, do other thing. I just can't put it in words why I love this quest so much. Even without knowing Solus Delagar's backstory, the quest really does frame him as a superhuman, unfathomable threat, so severe that you, the protagonist, aren't sent on a mission to kill him. You're only sent on a mission to find him. It's the Temple Knights who are meant to take him into custody, or kill him. You're not the fighter, you're just tailing the guy. At one point in the quest, I got a gnome hat, which meant visiting the Tree Gnome Stronghold. I could teleport to the monastery, walk north through Ardoin, then west past the King's Combat Training Grounds, or I could knock out the Tree Gnome Village quest real quick and use the Spirit Tree to teleport to the Stronghold. I opted for the latter. A lot of people would do this quest almost immediately after making their account, usually after Waterfall because it gives such a huge amount of attack XP, and the only combat you have to do is against the Khazard Warlord, who's easily safe spottable. Or at least when you attack him from far enough away, he does that backpedaling thing NPCs do. Easy 36 attack and easy access to the Tree Gnome Stronghold, among other places. And we did all that just for Solus to nearly one-shot us before 7 Ring of Life us back to Falador.
Oh, you foolish adventurer, you'll never get me.
Oh, he's gone. Let's ignore the fact that Solus is a Zamorakian mage using Zerosian magics for a minute and recognize what's just happened here. We were sent chasing after this guy, not capture mind you, and when you corner him, he's assaulted by 15 knights, weapons at the ready, and he just ice barrages all of them, killing them all in a single hit. And this was after using up a bunch of his power, teleporting all over Yelenar. That we're able to kill him at this point is pure luck on our end. Know why Edgeville used to be called Ghost Town? Because of Solus. There was this huge battle in Edgeville sometime back between the White Knights, Black Knights, and Temple Knights. Solus was there, and he killed a bunch of civilians during that battle. Like 800 people died, and he's to blame for most of them. It's a real shame there's nothing more they can do do with him? We killed him and took his hat after all, and what's a mage without his hat? Even if he could come back, what'd be the point? He ain't got no hat. Do you know why I think this quest is so memorable? For me at least. The first time I'd done it, a billion years ago, I had no idea how to train Slayer. My friend group and I, we had no idea what the skill was. All we knew was that there were monsters out there that required a high Slayer level to fight, and they dropped abyssal whips. Since I was the only real quester in our group, when I finished this quest, I shot up to like level 20 Slayer and felt like a god. When I did finally learn how to train Slayer, I recall, it was such a strong memory in my brain, saying out loud, I'll train attack, strength, and defense with Slayer, and by the time I get 70, I'll probably be pretty close to 85 Slayer and just get a whip as a drop. I overestimated the experience I'd be getting by, just a little bit. With that short-term goal out of the way, I want to make note of something. I think it's important that we all have an idea of where this account's going, rather than it just being a mess of who knows what's going to come next. There's a lot of quest-related content I want to check out, and I'm really curious to see how Old School took on Prifddinas. There's apparently a lot of stuff there to offer, and I barely know anything about it, and I'd love to explore it. But that's quite a ways away. Our long-term goal is getting the quest cape. I already said that, so that's obvious. However, I won't only be doing questing, because that would get a little boring after a while. So our current roadmap will have a quest cape at the end of it. But we're not going to be taking a straight path down that road. We're going to wander off to the left and right, check out some things, stop to smell the roses, because ultimately what matters is the journey and not the destination. We'll figure out what the next long-term goal will be when we get closer to the quest cape. A medium-term goal will be Barrow's Gloves. I know the record for the lowest combat level Barrow's Gloves is like level 40 or something. I'm not going for any records, but I think it'd be neat to get the gloves before level, say, 70. I think that's reasonably impressive without being ridiculously difficult. Unless it is ridiculously difficult, then this is gonna be fun. A short-term goal is unlocking ways of getting around the game. Even if I had full graceful, getting around RuneScape on foot is slow and painstaking. It's not something we want to have to do if we can avoid it. The best transportation method is probably fairy rings. They're all over the place, and we can access them quickly by running east of the Gandrin Monastery, but man, do we have to do a lot of work to get those. First, I stole some bread from the bakers in Arduin. Well, bread and cakes. This would have been really useful against Ithoi. Then I moved on to the desert to do Tourist Trap. It's not a prerequisite for the fairy rings or anything, but the agility XP you get from it is nice. One annoying thing about the quest is when you accidentally ignore the quest helper plugin that's been holding your hand through the quest and get caught by the guards and are thrown into a deeper part of the mine where you have to mine 15 rocks to be let out. I didn't even know this was a thing. Frustrating as it was, doing this quest was still faster than actually training agility, so who am I to complain? And it got us 30 agility, so we won't have to deal with the Alcarid course anymore. I don't really like it. For more agility XP, we got the Grand Tree quest, but I mostly wanted to do this quest for access to the Gnome Gliders. A bit more niche than fairy rings, but they're the only option for some locations, like on top of White Wolf Mountain. This quest also gives a ton of attack XP. All we had to do was safe spot this black demon. Oops. All we had to do was safe spot this black demon. You see, on RS3, you could safe spot him on the southern spot pretty easily. I probably could have salvaged it, but the ring of life I got from Duke Horatio jumped the gun and whisked me out of danger. Which is actually kind of more annoying because at least when you die, you get your run energy back, but when you get teleported away, you don't replenish anything. So it probably would have been better to die. Oh well. After finishing the quest by finding the hidden Daconia rocks, I ended up with 42 attack, 33 magic, and 35 agility. I then used the diary lamp on agility and got 36. And before I left the stronghold, I made a fruit blast since we'll need one for the first step of Recipe for Disaster. Look at me planning ahead. Oh, the cook needs an Eye of Newt, a rotten tomato, and a Greenman's Ale as well. Okay, let's go grab those. Having planned ahead extensively, I returned to the Lumbridge cook pre-supplied with all the items he needed to begin Recipe for Disaster. I'm sure you all know the story. Feast begins, Cullen Romancer shows up to wreck up the place, Aris freezes time because she has the power to do that apparently, and a time paradox threatens the universe if we don't feed all the partygoers the right dish. Standard temporal chicanery. We'll come back to this later. I'm sure time-locked individuals possess, quite literally, infinite patience. They simultaneously have all the time in the world and absolutely no time to spare. So I read about a rather interesting money-making method for Ironman. It's a lot better if you have access to high alchemy, but I was intrigued nonetheless. First, we had to do Death to the Dorgishan, the quest which introduces Zanuck, everyone's favorite cave goblin. I would suggest when you're grinding out a pair of ham outfits, mind your HP. Just because the drop rate for pieces is higher while doing the quest doesn't mean you won't be hunting them long enough to get whittled down to nothing. I guess that is one of the benefits of being a regular Ironman. Careless deaths are more of an inconvenience than anything else. Sigmund, your fate is sealed. Whoops. Sigmund, relying on divine intervention to keep you safe? What a coward's trick. After this quest, you can return to the ham storerooms and pickpocket these guards for storeroom keys. What's nice about pickpocketing these ham members is they'll never kick you out of the base, so you can fail over and over again without having to worry. I mean, unless they do enough damage to you to kill you, then you should worry. But you know what I mean. Once you have a dozen or so keys, you can go into these 4 rooms and loot the chests for token GP or various pieces of jewelry. You can either alch the jewelry, enchant it for later use, or sell it to a specialty shop like the one in Port Sarim for a good chunk of GP. If you have 50 agility and thieving, you could instead sell it to Martin Thwaite since he buys everything for a high alch price. I didn't have those levels, so I went to Grum's jewelry shop. 6,500 GP for a single trip to the storerooms. Not amazing GP, but if I had access to high alchemy and the Rogue's outfit, I think it'd be a pretty good moneymaker. For those unaware, the full Rogue's outfit you get from the Rogue's Den minigame doubles all loot you pickpocket. That includes the storeroom keys you get from the ham guards. When I get the outfit, I'll definitely return here to try it out, and I'll talk more about the differences in RS3 about the outfit and that whole deal when we get to it.
Subscribe so you don't miss the video when I do that.
Because we got 42 attack from the Grand Tree quest, I figured it was time to get a rune weapon, and apparently these Zamorak warriors in the ZMI altar have a 1 in 50 chance of dropping one, and they're easily safe spottable. Typically, Iron Men would kill fire giants, but they have more health and are more annoying to get to and have a lower drop rate. Although the general loot from fire giants might be a bit better since these warriors usually just drop 100 coins. Sometimes they'll drop a steel scimitar, maybe a rune dagger, maybe a steel dagger. It's not very exciting. We just want the rune scimitar. While I do some editing, I'll just AFK safe spot these guys and hope for a scimitar. Worst case scenario, I get a bunch of magic XP. We'll carry on our fairy ring grind next time. Take care, everyone.